Okay, in this section of the course, we are going to do what's called a functional interview, or a functional requirements interview. Some people say just functional interview, others say functional requirements interview. Either term is okay. And what we have the stakeholder. His name's Johnny. He's one of the founders of a running club called Running for Brews. And we also have Dan on it. And what we did is we got on Blab and had a conference, and we had a bunch of live viewers on it. And they were able to ask us some questions and interact with us. So this is while we're preparing the course. We got Johnny involved. He's a good friend of mine. And we had this live little webinar on Blab and interviewed Johnny about it. And Dan and I talked through. We asked him questions about what he wanted the application to do, what he didn't want it to do, what his vision was, some of the problems that we're solving for. And what our purpose is as technologists, as developers, we want to work with the end user and find out what they need this application to do. The end user doesn't care if we're using JHipster. They don't care if we're using angular.js. As developers, we're nerds. We like that stuff. We love the technology aspects. But I'll tell you right now from the industry, they don't care how pretty your code is. The guys on the functional side, they just want an application that will work. And they'll want something that works nicely, looks nice, and they're not able to put into terms of what is nice, what feels nice. They are not the domain experts, but they are domain experts on what they want the application to do, what their pain points are, what problems we need to solve. So you'll see us talk about that in the interview. We'll come up with ideas. Well, what if we do it this way? What if we do it that way? How can we handle this? Do you need it to do something like this? Because sometimes we do need to challenge them to think through how the functional flow of the application is going to be. And now in this interview, I am in the top right-hand corner. And when it was on my screen live, I thought Johnny was underneath, so you'll hear me refer to him down underneath. But the way that it actually came out on the Blab recording, Johnny is in the top left corner, and you'll see Dan down in the bottom right-hand corner. So there's a lot of great content in here. It's about an hour long. I hope you enjoy it. And you'll see Dan and I have a really good discussion with Johnny. And I think after the session with Johnny, I think we both left having a real good vision of the application we're going to be building in this course. Now live. Cool. All right. So Dan Vega and we're going to be developing a course using JHipster. JHipster is a framework technology that allows rapid application development. It's based around Spring Boot and the Spring framework, which obviously, if you know me, I'm rather fond of Spring. Dan is a fellow instructor on Spring products as well, and knows a lot about the angular.js stack. And we're going to be developing a course on getting around the whole JHipster stack. And as part of the course, we wanted to develop a realistic application. And that's where we've invited Johnny down in the bottom screen there. He runs a running club that's actually national. 35, 40 locations now?
33 locations now.
So all over the U.S. Are you international yet?
No, not international yet. We're working on, we've got a few things in the oven right now. Australia is definitely on the radar. We have some good friends over there that would love to bring Running for Brews over there.
Running for Brews is a great concept. It's a running club, but it's also got a social aspect to it. And they do work with local establishments as well as within their namespace, the Running for Brews. They work with beer brands, and they do have a loyalty program where runners can come and they check in and have a punch card right now, prove that they've done X number of runs, which gives them shirts in the program. And John, can you explain that program a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of give you the 30,000 foot view of Running for Brews. We started very small. It's a social running club. So we get together, we meet at a bar, we run a 5K, and then we drink beers together. So break it down, very simple. That is what we do. We've now grown pretty rapidly in the last 5 years to 33 locations. So we have 33 separate individual local bars that we meet at that get anywhere from 15 to 100 runners every week. We have almost 3,000 runners a month coming through on a weekly basis. So very exciting, very fun. Our loyalty program is very simple. Fortunately, we've partnered with in collaboration with Sweetwater Brewing Company. So they're helping fund the shirts and get that program off the ground. But essentially, when a runner logs in 17 Running for Brews events, which a weekly event will count as 3.1 miles. So at 50 miles, you will receive this shirt, Running for Brews dry fit shirt. They check in with the organizer. We use a physical punch card currently where the organizer will actually sign their initials off. And when they hit those 17 marks, they receive this dry fit shirt. The program is continuing and we're bringing in more sponsors, but it's called the 500 Mile Club. So at 50 miles, they receive a shirt. At 100 miles, they receive a iron-on print. It can go and it fills the different pint glasses on the back. I'll show you just for.
You can see wow. A little bit dark, but we can see it.
You see it? So, yeah. So your goal is to hit 500 miles with Running for Brews. And, you know, people have been asking for a long time to have a loyalty program. They love a complimentary shirt. They love being a part of it. They love obtaining different goals and coming back to the bars and meeting friends and stuff. So that's pretty much the loyalty app, the loyalty punch card, which is a physical card at the time, in a nutshell.
So clearly with the physical media, there's all kinds of problems with that. People losing their cards, forgetting to bring it. I know I have a card and I can't tell you where it's at. I got my first punch.
Exactly.
A number of runs, so I'm missing out on punches and not progressing through the program because I don't know where the card is.
Sure.
Well, the goal aspect is so great about it too, because even though like everybody's doing something common that they like with running and going to have a beer, you need to have something to work towards. So I really like that aspect of it.
Absolutely. You always need incentive.
Yep.
Regardless of what it is.
So about the app, so I can see a couple things here already. We want some way for people to be able to log in to have established identity.
Absolutely. So one thing I believe we've discussed, JT, was having their email address, which usually we capture anyways through our Smart Waiver app, which also might be something we can tie into it, because every single member that joins Running for Brews is required to fill out a digital liability waiver. So they fill out a digital liability waiver that goes into our system, and to be a part of the loyalty program, they pay, starting August 1st, $5, and they get their punch card. And then that's when the organizers will start signing off. They'll get a Running for Brews bumper sticker with it. They'll get a card. And once they hit that 50-mile mark, then they'll get the shirt. But email address, would be awesome just to be able to do, on top of that, marketing through email campaigns.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
is that something that you developed, or is it a third-party service?
I believe it's smartwaiver.com. It's a third party.
All right.
So I guess from that standpoint, we would probably not want to do any type of social login, then Twitter or Facebook, because at that point we're not really. They're able to like sign up with Facebook. We're not capturing their email address then.
Well, the Facebook login, we can get the emails to with Facebook. I'm not sure about Twitter though.
Yeah,
I'm totally open to social login as well.
Okay. If it just makes it, usually it makes it easier for people to log in, but sometimes you may lose that aspect of not having that email address.
Sure. If you had 3 different options of possibly the email, Facebook, or even Twitter, as we saw with Blab, Twitter works really well. But yeah, any of those 3 options are perfectly easy. Anything that's really easy for them to get on, sign in, and check. Well, I guess they'll be logged in automatically with the native app.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. I mean, we can provide access, obviously, enroll in our system, and we'll store the user ID and password and grab an email on that. And we can even do like a circular, like send a confirmation email so we can validate the email, stuff like that. That's not too hard. I know for certain for Facebook, we can get in and request the the email address. That's like an extended permission on Facebook login to get the email address, and pretty common for that to happen. Twitter, I'm not sure. So something that we need to do some homework on. But so obviously the goal is going to be to capture the email address for future marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we also want to make the login process friction free. So have a Facebook. So log in with that.
Anytime that logging into something gets hard, people don't want to use it. So you got to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, and touching on that point, we do other events outside of these weekly runs. We do paddleboarding for brews. We do kickballing for brews. We do whitewater rafting for brews, tubing for brews. It just goes on and on. But we do a ton of different social events that are not weekly. Sometimes they're quarterly. Sometimes they're annually. So that might be something to think about in the future too.
Okay.
Now, would those events ever involve the loyalty program at all?
They can. I have not included them yet, just because I haven't found enough sponsors to sponsor that part of it. But yes, in the long term, I'd like to have that to be a part of it.
Okay. So that kind of makes a wrinkle. So initially, I was thinking X runs gets you to X level, but now if we have different value to different check-ins, that could put a definite wrinkle in the application.
Sure. We'll definitely find some wrinkles. That's for sure.
So just challenges and opportunities is how we like to look at them.
Yeah. Just name it. I'll give you more challenges. One thing I'd really like to focus on, we'll definitely keep it simple. Can't stress how important that is. From day one with Running for Brews, I've worked on developing a system of how people check in, how they find out about Running for Brews, from marketing to operations. We've tried to streamline everything, and this is actually one of the last pieces that I've always been interested in. So, having these physical cards has been a burden in more ways than one.
Yeah.
I mean, I love shipping out tons of loyalty cards to everybody, once a month with stickers. Sending all these physical items.
Yeah, then dealing with runners. Oh, I lost my card. Can I get another one?
Yeah, I charge $1 for those lost cards now.
That's brilliant. So I probably owe you a couple dollars.
You owe me $10.
So the way that the app works, I'm kind of envisioning we got the 30-something location, 33 locations. So for a running night, I'm thinking that we want to have the runner enter in a unique code. So they go to the location, and I don't think we need to get into location-based services, but the run organizer could be able to provide that code, just like, I don't know, write on a slip of paper or have an app, or we could even do a QR code, but that might be a little too complicated.
How many locations are there again?
33.
Yeah, I mean, 33 wouldn't be too many to input right away. If you just wanted to do what's near me, we could probably have something pop up. No?
Do a geobase?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. You could do it both ways. We could do some kind of geolocation base where, as soon as you log in, it tries to find any locations that are near you. Or if you just want to enter, like you said, some kind of code that lets you kind of tell you where you are.
Yeah. Downside on that, we're going to have to deal with permissions on the device and ask
the
location. And
yeah, that's true.
So I saw one loyalty app. It allowed you to change your location. I mean, chances are the runners are going to be going mostly to the same location, or 33 is not a hard menu to select from. We could do some type of drop down that can punch in and do a dynamic search and narrow down the list and select locations.
Or even just pick a state, and then here's all the locations in that state.
Yeah.
Click on this location and.
But we have the international wrinkle coming up. It's going to screw it all up. Or their previous settings in a cookie and use that for the defaults as they go forward.
Yep.
I have a quick question for you guys. Will this be web-based, or will this be a native app?
We are going to go web-based.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, native to the JHipster framework. It works with Bootstrap. It's a styling framework designed originally by Twitter,
Okay.
and a responsive framework, so it looks good on a tablet, a browser, phone. It's a reactive framework, CSS styling, so as the device changes size, the screen sizes change.
So, yeah, and I think this is a good time to kind of point this out to everybody else too, who's watching or maybe watching the recording. So the way that we're building this app is there's a Spring Boot-based REST endpoint on the back end, right? And we're using this AngularJS framework to kind of build the front end, which is going to talk to this REST-based back end. Like John said, this is great because we're going to make it be able to run on desktop, mobile, tablet, etc. But if we want to come along later and create a mobile, like a native mobile app, say on an iPhone, the actual service is already there. All we'd end up having to do is build some kind of UI on iOS that talks to the same REST endpoints that the AngularJS is talking to. So to come back later and maybe do something with a native app probably would be pretty easy.
Yeah, because Johnny, a REST endpoint is like a standard API that anything can interface with.
Okay.
So you could go native on Android, you could go native on iOS, or I mean, you could even hire a script kiddie and write a PHP application or something like that. So it's kind of like a very generic layer of communication between different applications.
Okay.
So the web application, it'll run, but it's mostly going to be running in the browser. So AngularJS is JavaScript that's browser based, so it's going to be calling back to the server through this REST layer. So it's a real nice clean line.
Okay. So almost like responsive to applications.
But when I said responsive, I meant responsive to sizes. So
Right.
The CSO.
Okay.
So,
Cool. So you can adapt it to a lot of different things.
right. Absolutely.
One thing I was going to point on, I don't know, Dan, did John tell you about the loyalty app that we used to use at all?
No.
I've tested out more than a handful, and I've seen what works, I've seen what doesn't work, and we just have not had one that fits exactly what we're looking for. But one of the issues we had talked about was the geo-based and finding location. And I think JT pointed on it with the permissions. It was just extremely intrusive to the user. I mean, you would download the app, and then it would just keep hitting you to allow just open access to everything in your phone. I mean, I didn't like it. It was not smooth. Everybody that downloaded it was like, I mean, do I have to give my social security number for this thing? It was way too intense, and just not simple. So I think that is definitely one way I'd like to not go is.
Yeah, being a web-based application, we could do some type of that where you allow it, but I think with the limited number of locations that we have right now, the 33, I don't think it's a big deal for them to just kind of pick a state and pick a location at this point.
Yeah, we plan on.
And like John said, we can save that for the next time because they're probably going to be at the same one next time.
Sure. One of the, I guess, easiest ways to find out like when and how we add new locations, we plan on having at least 50 locations by the end of the year. They're instantly added to our homepage. If you take a look at our homepage, on the homepage, on the locations page, it's got a list of every city that we do in alphabetical order. And then each city has its own website, its own page. So, and that page has everything from, the 500 Mile Club, which is what we're working on, a link to each individual Facebook page. So we've kept each city very separate, and we've done that for a reason, to keep everything more germane, more local to each location. So it's Running for Brews Tampa, it's Running for Brews St. Pete, Clearwater, Brandon. They're all completely separate. And that's not saying that someone in Michigan, Running for Brews Royal Oak, is not interested in what's happening here in Tampa Bay. They might be interested in some of the social events, but are they really going to care about the weekly social?
Yeah.
Right.
So John, just thinking out loud here, we're going to have some kind of admin on the back end for them to enter in locations then? Are they going to, if they get a new location, are they adding it to their website and then adding it to this particular application as well?
Well, actually, I see 3 distinct use cases right now, or user levels for
Right.
where Dan's going as security roles in the system. One, it obviously is going to be the runners. So the common user that's going to come in and log in with Facebook. The second level is probably going to be the organizer, the location organizer. So they'll need a certain level of access. And then, then we'll have the administration account that will have full access and be able to control users, sign-ons, change passwords, and be able to set up new locations and do configuration functions and things like that. So, so far I see three distinct use cases.
Yep. So I guess let's talk through those use cases real quick. So from an administrative standpoint, they would need to be able to do things like add locations, add users, maybe if they just wanted to manually add somebody into the system, or I don't know, would we have a reason to block somebody at any point? I don't think so, right?
There's only been about one case of that. I never had to ask them to leave. They left on their own accord.
And then from just a normal runner standpoint, when I log into the application, the things that I would want to do is select a location, or if I've already selected a location, I'm at that location. What is the runner entering when they get there? So they run their 3 miles, they get into John's Bar in Tampa, and they go into the app and they click on the location. What do they do from that point then?
I was thinking, and stop me if I'm moving just too far in terms of functionality and just all the work behind the app. But obviously, yes, selecting a location, that will pull up the address and the information of where and how to be a part of the run. And then to be a part of the loyalty program, they actually will pay money to the organizer. The organizers keep 100% of the money they take in through this loyalty program. It's all sponsor funded. To actually engage the loyalty program, to be a part of it, they pay to be a part of it. And then they'll start checking in and logging in miles, essentially. So they'll be logging their miles. And then
we need to track the payment. Is that something that we want to be tracking in the app?
It would be really cool, and I'm not sure how you guys could go about it. I think you could get creative, but if the organizer could give a code for when they've paid, or the organizer could, I'm not sure, just mark that they have paid.
So it's just a binary yes or no, that paid or not paid?
Yes.
And it's determined by the organizer?
Right. One of the rules, if you know, JT, is we don't allow cheaters or system beaters. So the organizer and corporate is allowed to not send you your shirt at any time. I don't know if I had talked to you about this, JT, but having some sort of forum, is that possible within the app per location for like runners in St. Pete to be able to post in some sort of forum or fashion within the app?
Possible. I mean, anything's possible at this point. What do you think for the use case, though? I mean, to have like a Strava type thing where they're giving each other kudos and commenting on their runs, or
more so as if just commenting that they're going. Being able to go into the app and be like, I'm going, and they can see who else has also said or RSVP'd to go into the weekly run.
That was actually a part of my next question. Is there a reoccurring event? Is it like the same time the same day, same time, every place?
Yes.
Okay. So
that's actually an important aspect, Dan, and that's something I wanted to ask Johnny about, because like we have Running for Brews St. Pete as a location, but we have 4 runs at 4 different locations on 4 different nights every week.
Right, and Tampa and St. Pete are unique in that sense. All other Running for Brews, it's one bar, one night, same time every week.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's some things to think about there, because we may have to basically set up recurring events for different bars if we want to allow them to basically say they're going. And so you would want people to not only say they're going a week in advance so we could see that 10 people are running, but then once they got there, to be able to check in and say, yeah, I actually did go.
Yes. Oh, and then, sorry, side note, the organizer permission or use level, if the organizer could cancel the run due to bad weather, that would be, in an ideal world, something that would be just very helpful.
Yeah. So that's an organizer's administration type piece of this. Again, now we're starting to get into an event system for those runs. There needs to be a particular event every week at a particular location if we want to allow check-ins and going and registration and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the status. I mean, that's the status of the run. Yeah, that's an interesting aspect to have that run as an event and a status that changes when it goes to the past, because obviously we don't want anybody check into a past run.
Right. Yep. Okay, so there's some things to think about there.
And those are things if we can add later, that'd be great. If we want to focus on just doing the loyalty app per location, that's also totally acceptable too. But I'm just throwing out ideas that might.
So you don't need an actual forum where people can talk to each other. They just want to know that they're going, right?
Correct.
Yeah, just think about through any privacy issues that we need to be concerned about, listing up people's names that they're going. Not everybody want to be able to do that. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't say you're going if you don't want to post that. But some people would be concerned about privacy issues around that.
Right.
Just thinking of another section of this application, some type of follow or contact, running for brews, whether do you guys have a Facebook page, Twitter, contact information, maybe just another section for that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah. Every single location has a separate Facebook page and a separate Instagram account. But we have a corporate Twitter, we have a corporate Instagram.
I thought some locations had their own Twitter. Doesn't St. Pete have their own Twitter? Or am I wrong on that?
I think they do. I think they actually do. I think we have that so that you can access Instagram.
So for a location, we'll set up social media aspects, and then that's something that can be maintained.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's hear it. So in addition to the check-in, the location should have a about page showing the about.
And that's the organizer level, being able to kind of update that information if they need to or add it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the administrator on top of the organizer can make those changes as well.
Yep. Yeah, the administrator needs to be able to say who's an organizer.
Who's a runner? No, we probably just have runners just log in. That's their account.
Yep.
I don't really see the need for an administrator to manually add them, do you? I mean, I guess we could.
Yeah, no, I don't think we want to dealing with runners. I mean, they sign up and they have user access to the system. But the organizers, that could be a interesting wrinkle, because I know in the St. Pete there's multiple organizers in a location is not a problem, but they also will float between locations. So sometimes somebody in St. Pete will cover for somebody in Tampa. So they'll have regional access. So that could be an interesting use case to tackle. But easiest for us would be to say, or all organizers have access to all locations. But that's probably not something.
We've had this happen before. So the loyalty program is available to actually all locations. So if you have this physical card, I wish I had one on me. If you have the physical card, you can go from Running for Brews Tampa. If you want to travel to St. Pete, the organizer can sign off on the loyalty program there for you as well. So I don't think you'd have to make when someone does check in that they are doing Running for Brews, then it doesn't matter the actual location they're at. So if they log into Running for Brews Royal Oak in Michigan versus Tampa, it'll be the same.
Yeah.
So does the runner go to the location, we'll say JT's bar, and then check in there, run a 3.1 mile loop, come back, and then have a drink there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then when they get back, we need a way for the organizer to validate that they ran so that it adds to their miles?
That would be, yes.
Or are we just saying, if you checked in there, we're just going to assume you ran? I mean, does an organizer want to sit there and go, yeah, you ran, yeah, you ran, yeah, you ran?
Do they want to? Probably not.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. How many people are gaming the system like that?
I haven't caught anybody cheating in 5 years with any loyalty program that we've done. One thing that we use, I won't name the piece of software that we used to use, but it was, they actually gave us a beacon, a Bluetooth enabled beacon.
I remember that one.
It's actually an incredible app, but it just is not, didn't work out. Anyways, they give you a Bluetooth enabled beacon, and it has to be there at the organizer's side in order for them to check in and log a run. Like,
it's kind of a pain in the neck, and there's really no workaround if it's missing or battery dies or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it might just be something where we want to say, hey, you need to show your organizer that you pull up your app and show the organizer, and the organizer will just tap it, be like, you're checked in.
Yeah, but kind of what I was envisioning. I want to keep it really low friction, and I don't think the organizer wants to be checking everybody in.
Right.
That's kind of a pain in the neck for the organizer to deal with it and try and lighten up their workload. We could, I'm thinking, just really keep it simple. We could generate like a random 5-character code, which gives you a ton of combinations, like a reservation number the airlines use. So like 6 characters,
Right.
And the organizer just take a marker, put that on a piece of paper, and say, "Here's the loyalty code for today." And runners just go punch it in the app, and boom, they're checked in. So it's you go to that day of run, and you have to be there to get the code.
That would be great.
There's a good question there in the comments. Are there set courses per location? Do you guys run the same course every day at that location, or just try to find 3.1 miles?
No, that is a good question. We've played around different things regarding the routes, but what we do is we focus on doing one route for every set location. So that route is set. We usually have a shorter route and a longer route. So we've got beginners, we've got your intermediate and advanced runners. Everyone runs at their own level. We start at the same time. Actually, before we run, we have the organizer announce, hey, please, everybody look out for each other, be safe, have a great run, and also meet someone new after the run. This is also another aspect I'd like to tie into it. I don't know how we can or if we can, but the social aspect of Running for Brews, which has been the base of Running for Brews from the beginning, but meeting new people. I want as many people to meet as possible during the runs. I don't want people just running. I don't want people coming just for the shirt. I don't want people just coming for the beer. I want people to meet new people that are in town and make new friends. That's how I met this man right here.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
And my lady. This is how I met my lady.
So I guess one thing I'm confused on. If I go check in and I get this random code and I put it in, I'm checked in. How do I say how many miles I ran? Because you said there's different levels. Like I could have just ran a mile. I could have ran 3.1 miles. When you check in, is there going to be something that says how far did you run?
So it's I wish I had my sheet. One of the rules, max 3.1 miles will be logged per Running for Brews.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying. They put in this code, and then you just give them free reign to put in how much they ran, but we'll cap it off at 3.1 miles.
Yeah, if you just kept that at 3.1, that's fine. I mean, if they run a mile, that's fine. They can make it up later, whatever they need to do. But just for simplicity sake,
every run event is a 5K. So
yep.
That makes the math easy on our end. So
yeah.
But if you want to get a little complicated, it's the 500-mile run club or 500-mile club. It's technically the 527-mile run, which doesn't sound as nice. Yeah. A nice ring to it. So
527.2 run club.
Who wants to join the 527-mile club? Everybody would ask me, why 527? Why don't you just make it 500?
That's a conversation topic.
Yeah. So I actually have that in the nitty-gritty details as well.
Actually, an idea as far as the social aspect, do you want to give bonus points if they do tweet or post to Facebook to run? So, I mean, we could do a tweet or post to Facebook through the app, through the Spring APIs that Spring gets us into, well, Facebook and Twitter both exposed it, but we have a pretty easy path through the Spring framework to shout out a tweet on behalf of the user using their credentials. Or,
like it just automatically populated tweet that's like, I just ran a 5K with running for Brews Tampa.
Yeah, I just checked in. Like, they wouldn't even have to do anything. Probably just click something, right? And like, I just ran 3.1 miles with running for Brews at X location.
Okay. Yeah, that would be cool.
and if we do that, do they get additional loyalty credit and somehow?
We could add that in. I don't see where that could be an issue at all. Yeah, maybe they get like a third of a check-in, something like that for sharing. So every 3 runs, we'd probably do a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll come up with something, but yeah, it's always a good idea to reward them for telling their friends about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something that we could look at. I mean, we'd have to make that optional. Not everybody's going to want to tweet or post to Facebook on running for Brews.
Right.
They have. Some people just don't like hitting social media, but some people are like, I don't care. I'll post everything.
Yeah, like a bonus check-in points.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we could make it optional and just set it to automatic so it automatically happens. So
yeah,
could be part of your user profile. We could, right when you sign in, make that a part of what's your first name, last name. Do you want to automatically share this information when you check in?
I don't know if this is possible either from an admin standpoint to have a feature like that. If you wanted to create bonus points, well, let's just say Fit to Run, the running store, wants to come in and sponsor the run. And if they tweet or they share on Facebook, automatically, or if they do this, then they get 10% off at Fit to Run at the local running store. So they can go in, do that, show it to the running store. And so that gives us an opportunity to sell sponsorships as well, an additional added, benefit to any sponsor that wants to come on.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, promote the sponsor, get their awareness of their brand out there using your social media assets.
Like we'll be able to. We have our the organizer. The organizer could even have access to this as well. A local ice cream shop would come by and they're like, "Hey, we want to sponsor the run," and the organizer says, "Awesome, we can add a short button on our loyalty app and put you on there, and people can tweet about you or get a local discount, whatever it may be." Yeah.
I'd sign up for that.
Running, perfect combo.
There's nothing better.
So so we probably should track the runs by location, and I don't know if we need to have the person say they have a home location, but what I think would be cool is to have a leaderboard for each location.
Yes, a leaderboard that,
and overall,
kind of like Nike Plus, so you can see who's in your club doing what.
I have to update our leaderboard on our website.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
A leaderboard would be great, and automatic.
Yes, automatic too. Yeah, the whole goal here. So I don't know if you're familiar with the terms UI, UX. UI is user interface, and then UX is user experience. And so I am not the best web designer in the world. That's why I use tools like Twitter Bootstrap. Yeah. So I can hack something together. It looks really nice. Yeah. But as far as the UX, the user experience, I think that's something that we definitely need to pay attention to. And you've heard me make a few comments about trying to make things easier, and we're looking at making that very, very low friction, so that they're not going through a bunch of rigmarole to get in. So that's why I was like, just a 5 or 6 digit code would be fine to identify the location. That they don't have to have the organizer go punch in a code for them or give them some type of special access or hassle the organizer. So try to make this thing light, simple, easy to use, something that people want to use.
Yeah, so a lot of the loyalty apps are now doing, scan the QR code that's at the location, which is great, but also you're going to have to give access to that app to your camera. So it's a whole new friction. Exactly what you're talking about. More
generate the QR code and have something that it can scan off of or print it.
So each organizer would have to print a QR code, and then the user would have to allow access to the camera. So you'd be given. It's way too much friction. A code, I think, would be the organizer, your code for the week is this. And
Yeah.
they go through the app, that would be great. Whatever we could make is possible.
Yeah, the organizer could sign in and see it. I mean,
So that's where
we can generate it on a schedule every day for the location.
Yeah, per event probably. I mean, that way you have different codes for different events, and that's where the events come in. If we have an event for that night, for that run, you generate a code for it, write it down. Here it is. They use it to punch in.
So a couple of just geek out on the design a little bit, technology-wise. This week I've been living with microservices, and Docker, and all that jazz. So Dan knows what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, it's actually kind of cool.
Sounds like fun.
So getting into some of the Spring Cloud stuff and playing with that. So it's a pretty neat stuff. But so the industry, the whole IT industry right now, you go to a programming conference, all the buzzword is about microservices. And then when the last conference I was asked, they were arguing about how big a microservice should be and how much it should cover. And they're very down on what they call monolithic applications. But with the scope of this application, I don't see any need to go overboard on that. I mean, it's a simple web application. It's going to run on one database server, and I mean, we can handle a ton of load. But RFB could go global before we'd have to grow that server. So no need to do all the
Right.
cool, sexy tech on it. So hopefully someday, and then if we ever get there, I mean, he probably can give us big bucks to re-architect it.
Yeah.
So just for any of the other DevOps geeks watching, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to host it on, say, like an AWS server somewhere? Or what?
I have bandwidth on my servers right now. I run some servers up on AWS. So MySQL database is going to be just fine for this. Maybe do RDS. So I'll look at the pricing, see how bad that is. But Amazon RDS is a MySQL database, but what's nice about it is it's backed up and maintained by Amazon. You do pay a small fee for it, but you don't have to mess with it. You don't have to back it up. So it alleviates that aspect of it. So for something like this, that's going to be updating. I mean, it might not be a bad use case for that. So yeah.
You always want to back up data. I've learned too many times.
People are like, oh, I can back up my database.
Really
I can take care of my server. Well, yeah, I can. I can back up a server. I can back up databases all day long. I don't want to do that every day. I mean, at the end of the day, I want that automated and taken care of for me. I'm lazy that way. And I'm bad about backups. I'm human like everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, we could look at that aspects of that, how we do that. So I'll have to do some research on that. And I'm thinking AWS be perfect for it. I can stand it up. We can front it with Apache, do a virtual host, so we can get Johnny's domain name on there and set up a virtual host on Apache, so it routes right to it.
Yeah.
And then Johnny, with your ISP, we just do loyalty.runningforbrews.com, and then it'd route that subdomain to my server.
Yeah, that was one thing I was thinking about. So the runners from the UX, the user experience, runners come and they're interested in signing up for the loyalty app. What does that process look like? They get to the run, they meet their organizer. Is there a sheet that can be an informational sheet, and it's like, hey, you need to go to runningforbrews.com. So they'll go to runningforbrews.com, they'll click the location, and then from that, we can easily make a button on each individual page that will link to the mobile app. I think, honestly, that might be the easiest way to route people into the app.
There's a couple ways that we could get them to it. Initially, I'm thinking a short subdomain. You could say loyalty.runningforbrews.com or app. Or come up with some type of abbreviation, just something that's easy to remember. And that's something that you could do, like a QR code that'll pop up that URL and take them right to the app. Definitely link to it. And actually, that's an important design as far as do a URL that go right to the specific location.
Yeah.
So that's something that we have to think about. to take them into a location. So do we go to a generic login page and then let them set the location? So we need to think through the flow of the application a little bit too.
Yeah, what I found with the digital waiver, it's been so easy. Like people are like, how do I, like most people that come and join, they actually have already filled out the waiver online. You fill out the waiver, and they're like, yeah, I did it online. It was easy. And when they get to the event, the weekly event, and it's their first time, they're usually showing up late, and they're like, what do I need to do to sign up? And I'm like, all you have to do is fill out the waiver one time. Go to runningforbrews.com. They do it. I watch them Google Running for Brews. They hit the website. I'm like, find your location. And then each waiver is actually set to a specific location. So all the waivers across the country are for each specific location, because I wanted that, because it's the only way to decipher, okay, I want to send emails to people in Tampa. I want to send emails to people in Tempe, Arizona. The only way to do that was to separate the waiver.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple different ways we can handle that. So one is, we definitely provide a link off the site to go to the app. The question is do we go in and just get the login page so that they, like the first page into the Loyalty app is going to be establishing your identity,
right,
with the application. So logging in, whether it's through a user account that they create locally with the system, or social media login, that establishes who they are to the system. And then from there, we could access the profile if it's existing already and let them select a location. That's probably the path of least resistance for Dan and I in designing it.
Okay.
Versus taking to a URL that's location unique. That definitely doable, but the path of least resistance for us is just to have a generic landing page and not care about the location until they established identity. And then we can definitely store that in their profile. So when they come back, we'll store the account information, their credentials in a cookie, so that they don't have to log in all the time, and make it user friendly.
Or even just like you said, so it goes to loyalty.runningforbrews.com/some ID, which is like a location ID, right? And then that's a restricted area anyway, that location. So it's going to take them to that login screen anyway, make them log in, and then take them to that location screen. Yeah, we could try both. Obviously, just taking them to a generic page is probably easier.
Yeah. So we got some brainstorming to do on that. Thought of something else. Forgot what it was now. Something around security, so we can log in. Spring Security is going to be ideal for this, and the social media plugins for that. Spring Social, we'll definitely be able to connect right into that.
Yep.
Database, we'll encrypt passwords, so we won't do free text passwords, so you don't have to getting hacked.
Nice of you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, and for anybody watching and building JHipster apps, when we get into actually doing this, a lot of that work's going to be done for us right away. So the whole user management side, we really just going to have to create a couple different user groups, and then start to build out the permissions on what those user groups can do.
Stuff like, I remember having to hand roll all this stuff in the past.
It was the worst, wasn't it? Like every app you would write, it's like, all right, now I gotta copy these 30 classes from the last app I did to hand roll my own security or
there's
my
all
own login. It's
stuff.
just awful.
Like you're doing the same thing all the time.
Yep. I manage screens and that kind of stuff.
All comes pre-rolled.
Sorry, guys. Did you guys see this comment over here about tying in the map? Tie it in with Map My Run.
So Map My Run's like, have you ever used it? It's kind of like the Nike app, I think, which is basically I'm starting it logs your actual run for you. Again, I think that would be more of a native app type of thing. I don't know that if Map My Run has an API where you can actually plug into it or not, but even if they did, that would be more of a native app type of thing.
API. I think they're the bigger ones. Actually, most of them do have some type of API, and they're not all documented, but they mostly do have APIs. Like Strava is definitely big. So I don't know. I don't see a lot of value in like using this app to log runs. I mean, runners are going to use their app of choice.
Right. All we care about is did you run the 5K
Right.
today?
Okay.
To
Perfect.
be part of the loyalty program.
So I think what else we talked about? Tech stack, AWS, deploy it there.
Looking over my notes.
Yeah, we'll keep it
really
friendly.
all I got.
We'll store the login credentials or not the credentials, but the token and a cookie, so they're not signing in. Uber's been irritating me lately, so I'm always having to re-sign into Uber. I'm like, come on, guys, I just signed up. It's like keeps losing my session or something. So it's like sometimes I can go 2 weeks without signing into Uber, and then it's like 2 hours apart I have to sign back into Uber. I'm like, what's going on?
It's not as annoying as their rate increases. Like sometimes down here, we'll take a Uber 5 minutes away. It'll cost, or I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes away. It'll cost us like $9 or $7 or whatever. And then you get on a Saturday night, like during the RNC, and it's like $60. I'm like, what is going on here?
I'm sorry, John.
I was going to say back up in my hometown, Chattanooga, it's always like a 3x, like all the time. Like no matter what time of day it is, it's like 1 to 3x for no reason. Just like there's just not enough drivers. I don't think they're paying Uber drivers enough. That has to be the reason. They're not paying Uber drivers enough, so they're not signing up. Therefore, the demand's too high.
Yeah.
People should just skip the Ubers and run to their bar.
I wanted to do that once.
Get some beer.
All right. We got a number of people watching us. I'm going to unlock the seat now and see if anybody wants to jump in and ask us some questions, see if we didn't think about anything or notification or anything.
Oh, yeah. Throw something
I'm looking
in the chat, too.
Ron had a couple questions there. I think we covered them. Provide functionality to send out Facebook, Twitter messages to attendees. To the attendees, I'm not sure if we can target them. We can definitely, through Spring Social, post on the behalf of attendees. And I like the idea of setting up status, the weather. So, yeah, we talked about canceling the runs. I don't know. There was some thunder here. I don't know if it got picked up on the mic, but it seems to have settled down. So living in Tampa, Florida, lightning capital of the world, we do see plenty of canceled runs.
Yeah, if the organizer could go into this app and post an update, or add almost like a weekly, like a temporary message, like, hey, the run may be canceled. Check Facebook. I mean, Facebook, we're pretty up to date on updating Facebook. So
yeah, but Facebook's hard because you do the update and Facebook is filtering it, so like only 10% of the people that subscribe to the page are going to see it.
Right. So maybe when the organizer does cancel it, maybe we could integrate something that also sends out a message to Facebook and Twitter, and maybe an email notification so that they know it's canceled, or even SMS. I like that too. So
the one thing is, things I'm thinking about there is through a web application. I don't know of a way to do a push notification to the phone. I don't know if we can subscribe that.
Well, yeah, there's a couple different services.
Okay.
We can shelf that offline, but yeah, there are some ways to do that.
And Johnny did ask about sending out
SMS
messages earlier, and the problem with that is the SMS gateway. So those can be, the last time I looked, that was kind of a pain in the ass to integrate, and then it is a cost factor of sending out the messages.
Yeah, some of them do involve some cost, but there's a way to do it.
Oh yeah,
like
there's absolutely a way to do everything. Yeah,
Twillo,
Twillo in the past. I think Twillo is pay as you play. Some of them are a subscription, then usage based too. Doable. And the practicality of it is we can definitely take the event and put a status on the event that it's canceled. So when they go into the phone, look it up, canceled. Versus going to Facebook, looking up the page and trying to find it. Is there a cancellation notice on the page?
Yeah. That was a question I had. I skipped over it. Through a mobile application like this, a mobile website, can you easily add the integration of adding the app? Like the app buttons, like Uber, all your native apps have that signature look of the app. Will this have the functionality of being able to add it as an app button essentially on your phone, so you can add really quick access?
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe we can add some instructions to that, but there is an easy way to basically create a shortcut on your desktop for a mobile app. So it looks like, you know, whatever, we can put an icon on there so that it does get put onto the phone, and then you click on it. It's just a shortcut to a web page that they bring up. But yeah, maybe we could put some instructions somewhere when they sign up. Here's how you go ahead and add this as a shortcut to your desktop.
In theory, at least, we could package it up using PhoneGap and deploy it as an app in the App Store.
Yep. Or Iconic is pretty big right now too, but I haven't used that a lot. So, is it? I think Iconic actually has PhoneGap.
I mean, I'm aware of it, but
yeah, I'm not I haven't done a lot in the mobile Cordova. I haven't done a lot in that space.
Yeah,
so.
Duda Mobile.
Yeah, but
have you ever heard of that one?
No.
This was way before. It was like just as mobile websites started getting popular, but it would basically take your website and immediately make it into a mobile website. It would just redirect to m.runningforbrews.com. But it was drag and drop, kind of like WordPress.
Right.
But they had a feature to where you could set it the first time that you would pull up the mobile website. So it would automatically detect that you're coming from a mobile device, and then it would pop up this like little notification at the bottom of your phone that has a little arrow, and it's like, add this to your home screen.
Yeah, I say no matter what route we take, I say we probably get all these features together, say what's essential for version 1, get that out, make sure people are enjoying that. If we need to add features to it, we can do that in version 2, and then maybe a version 3 would be, all right, let's either wrap this up really quickly into like a mobile app, or let's build a native mobile app.
Yeah, and we could use the good old startup lingo, the minimal viable product, or MVP. Just narrow down exactly what we want this to do, and get a functional app. I mean, it's going to be no frills, but streamline and do the basics. Yeah. I mean,
fairly quickly.
If we focus on the core, we can crank out a lot here in a very short time and have something that's functional.
Cool. Maybe we can tie in that golf pub app.
So years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a charity event, so that they call it pub golf, and it's basically a pub crawl, and you go to 9 holes and bars, and you get points for each. And I took Grails, and at the time jQuery Mobile was out and just getting a lot of buzz on the scene. I'm like, I want to learn jQuery Mobile, so I wrote up a Grails app and created a pub golf app so everybody could sign in, and of course use Spring Social so you could log in, create a team, and then you track your points at all the holes, and you can see like a little leaderboard as we went on this charity pub crawl.
Well, I'm not a huge golfer, but isn't that all golfing is drinking?
yeah, but without having to be out in the sun and deal with a golf cart.
Just drinking and being angry. Yeah,
there's no frustration.
All right. Cool. Well, I don't know about you, John, but I think I got enough to go on.
And feel free.
Requirement standpoint.
John's got my email. Just text me, email me, call me. Any questions?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is, I don't know about you, John, but I think we should kind of watch this back. I did take a couple of notes, but kind of watch this back and build all right, here's all the features that we talked about today, what's required, what's nice to have, etc., and just go from there. Then we'll run that by you, and then once we have our core set of features for this first release, then we'll kind of start there.
Yeah, and maybe we go do some homework and look at it and propose our MVP, so our minimal viable product, to get the first release out there.
Yeah, and there's some comments here asking if this is going to be documented. Yeah, I think this is kind of the point of this. We wanted to really start with no script here and just have this conversation about what the requirements were for this application, and we're going to document it along the way. This is going to be on both of our, we're co-instructing this course. We may have a couple other blabs where we just sit down and talk about this app, and we'll include those, obviously. We'll include this in the course. Yeah, we kind of just want to have this, so you're seeing us build a real-world app as we go along, and throughout this course, we're not just building some to-do app. This is a real app that we're going to build, and you're going to see it from start to finish, hopefully.
Yeah, and one question if it's going to be on my site or Dan's, the drinking app. That's already out there. I got that on GitHub somewhere. I wrote that like 3 years ago. It's on an older GitHub account of mine. But yeah, we'll definitely be putting up content on this. Dan and I have planned out the course. So the first portion of the course is going to be just on JHipster, like getting our feet wet with it and the features and functionality that JHipster brings. And I mean, we'll just do some real simple stuff. Then we're going to dive in and start iterating through this and like, okay, so we're going to use Spring Social for this, and we're going to start accessing the database like this. And, oh, well, let's step back for a second and actually design the database. These are the entities that we're going to need to store data in and how the data model is going to work to support the functionality of that. So, yeah, we got, a touch of Agile. Yep. Absolutely. So
I've actually got a lot of that first section, too. I've got almost 2 sections done. So this isn't something that we're hoping to release next year. I mean, we're gonna try and knock this out pretty quick. So
hey, thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody watching and the cool comments. So definitely appreciate it.
Anytime, we'll do
Johnny,
this again.
thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. And
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.